continue our media availabilities. We're now joined by Ricky Stenhouse Jr., driver of the number 47 Chevrolet for JTG Darlington Racing. We'll go ahead and open it up. If you have a question, please raise your hand, and we will get a mic over to you. We'll start down here with Cameron.
Cameron Richardson, NASCAR.com. Given that you only have one option to get in the playoffs, and that's winning, for the first two stages at least, do you guys try to just go all out and race, or do you still have to do the fuel saving as everyone else will probably do?
Yeah, no, for us, obviously it doesn't matter if you win the first or second stage. So, we'll be just making sure we can do whatever we can do to make sure we have our car, at the end of the race and capable of going to run basically that last stint after you pit for fuel. So you're going to run the whole race, managing your fuel and trying to make that last pit stop as fast as possible so that you can get your track position then and see how it plays out. So, I think everybody's in the same boat for the most part, of like your options on trying to win the race. Nobody's going to come up with a crazy option to win the race, but you're going to have to make your pit stops as minimal as possible, and see if you can just keep your track position. So getting on and off pit road, especially if it's obviously a green flag pit stop, will be super important. Doing it with a group of cars that can leave pit road with you and get up to speed as quick as possible to keep that track position. So that'll be all the things that we're looking at throughout the whole race tomorrow.
We'll come right here in the middle.
Tanner Marler, frontstretch.com. Ricky, you've won here before, but with this race, one, of course, being in February and now here in August, can you talk about what are the differences between the two? How much does kind of the temperature and stuff like that play into the race here?
Yeah, I mean, Daytona is always a racetrack that, can be temperature sensitive for sure. I would say more with our older cars versus now. I feel like this car is really similar everywhere we go, especially coming back, to a speedway race. I feel like there's more difference in Atlanta, the two races than, probably Daytona. Talladega is obviously really similar, but you get a little bit different handling aspects of the car sliding around a little bit more. And I would say more so now than February. You would kind of want tires more often, but I think all of us would rather have no tires in track position versus tires and having to run through the field. So I would say the biggest issues are always off turn 4 here. Is getting tight, making sure your car still, kind of rotates, especially if you're stuck on the bottom lane. But, I don't see it being too big of a difference, from February.
We'll come over here to Matt.
Matt Weaver, Sportsnot. So, on one hand, this is an opportunity race for you guys. It's a chance to win your way into the playoffs, chance to win at Daytona again. On the other hand, there's probably a 75% chance you're going to end up in a crash too. So I'm curious, how do you balance those two things? Do you get excited to come here? Are you nervous to come here? What are the vibes when you drive through the tunnel?
I don't get nervous. I think excited is probably the way I go into it. I feel like throughout a lot of my career, especially in the Xfinity series, I didn't really like speedway racing very much. I felt like it was, you never knew what was going to happen. I didn't feel like I knew enough about it to enjoy it. I was just kind of out there, in the draft, and, if I got a good finish, it was just because I got a good finish. And then, throughout my Cup career, I feel like learning more and, how to draft and, the way to use side draft and use the pushes and, get better at blocking and pulling up in front of lanes and, having a better game plan. And that's kind of when my aspect of, speedway racing changed, and I started enjoying it. And then when I started enjoying it, I started, running better at them. So, I'm definitely excited, optimistic about, our chances here. I think, there's a lot of people in the same boat. But we sat down this week in the shop and said, the only thing that we're focused on is winning the race. So, we know that there's a high possibility of getting no stage points and getting in a wreck. But we feel like that's the best option that we have right now going forward, knowing that, there'll be a handful of people that are looking for, playoff, stage points to move themselves up in the standings or whatnot. But, we know that we can leave out of here with 1 or 2 points, but we're going to give ourselves an option of going to win the race.
And then completely unrelated, I know it's not something you can control or influence at all, but I'm curious, a veteran like you who knows the business side, has been around a long time, do you monitor the charter negotiation conversations, and do you reach out to ownership just to say, hey, what is the status here, and what is your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously I'm not near as involved as a Denny or Brad, but as a driver, you're definitely, I would say, concerned a little bit about it. You thinking that it would already be done by now, but as far as like getting into the details, that no, I don't, really get into the specifics. I get a little info from my owners, and then obviously I played a lot of golf with Denny, and him and I are good friends, and so I think. Obviously, I think they'll obviously come to a agreement at some point, but hopefully it's in a good spot for everybody. And I know that from our team, our ownership side's super committed to this sport, and they love this sport. And so for me, that's all that really matters going forward. And hopefully they get something that works for everybody.
We're going to come over here to Chris, then to Dustin, then to Jerry, then to Owen.
Hey, Ricky. Chris Gollin with News Daytona Beach over here to your right, along the wall, yeah. I wanted to congratulate you on becoming a father recently. And, I've heard some drivers have said that becoming a parent has had an impact on maybe not the way they race, but the way they look at racing, maybe some of the moves they make. And as you come to a track like Daytona, where that's as relevant as ever, now that you come here as a dad, does that have any impact, you think, especially with your son at the track, on how you're going about Saturday's race?
No, I mean, I think for me, I'm just super excited. I'd love to get him in victory lane. So, I think that would be the coolest thing. But, no, I mean, I think once I strap into a race car, I'm all task at hand, and that's to, do the best job for our team and our partners and all our fans. So, there's not a move I won't make if it gives us an opportunity to win. But no, I'm super thrilled to have them, here at the racetrack. That's for sure.
Thanks, Ricky.
We'll go to Dustin, then to Jerry.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. A couple things, Ricky. I know you said that this is the first time your son's been here. What's it been like the last few weeks? I'm assuming your wife hasn't been with you at the track, so kind of be on your own the last 5 or so races. Yeah,
there's been more golf played on the weekends, but I think for me it's been, the off weeks came at a great time for us, and I like staying up and watching dirt racing anyway, so I take the night shifts, and it's all been working out. There's been a lot of dirt racing on lately, so everything's been pretty smooth, on that side of things, but. Definitely, glad to kind of get back in the normal swing of things. And, we first time at the racetrack for everyone. So it'll be a fun weekend. And, then we got some great races, close to home, which will be nice.
Obviously, anything can happen any weekend, but do you look at this as really this weekend's the true last chance to get in the playoffs based off of the challenges of Darlington?
I would say no. I think, this could be potentially maybe the easiest. But, I look at our races really all year long. There's been a lot of opportunities that I feel like people have put themselves in at, especially like mile-and-a-half racetracks. If you catch a caution the right way, and all of a sudden you find yourself starting on the front row at Darlington, our speeds are so close with these race cars. When you go back and look at lap times and average lap times throughout a race, like at Michigan, a tenth is, first to 20th. So, theoretically you could have a 20th place car and, catch a caution the right way, your pit strategy works out. Now all of a sudden you're starting on the front row with tires, and I think any of us can hang on for a win. If that happens, and I mean, no pun intended, but there's a lot of late race cautions, so. Anything can happen. And so I think we keep our options open all the way till the checker flag falls at Darlington for sure.
We'll come down here to Jerry and then to Owen.
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net. And you've had some great times here and some pretty rough times. You said a while ago there's not a move you won't make to get the win this weekend. How aggressive are you willing to be, considering in light of what's happened a few weeks ago and things like that? What will you do to try and make the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at speedway racing probably a little bit differently. We're all beating and banging and pushing each other, and I would say 98% of the time there's a wreck, on the last lap. So, I would assume they look at it a little bit differently on speedways, but I don't know. I mean, I think you're going to just be pushing and side drafting and trying to get all you can. I don't think anybody really knows exactly what moves they'll make until they're put in those positions, and then you make them, and then you figure it out after that. So, I definitely just hope we have a shot at it. Put ourselves in that position to be able to make a move, one way or the other, and try to win the race.
We'll come here in the middle to Owen.
Thank you. Hi, Ricky. Owen Johnson, Cupscene.com. You tested yourself recently with a mile of burpee jumps, and you've talked about doing CrossFit in the past. How important is conditioning for you to improve in the race car, and what sort of workouts are you doing during the season?
Yeah, I think, for the most part for myself, really worked since I hired my trainer Ryan. He was Casey Kane's trainer for a long time, and, Casey was in great shape, and, just really worked on heart rate stuff. I did a lot of CrossFit back in the day, and now I kind of do a little bit of everything. We did a burpee broad jump for a mile last week, and that was harder than I thought it was going to be mentally. Physically it was okay, but mentally it was draining. After a quarter of a lap on the first lap, I was ready to call it quits, but that's what we signed up for, so we did it. And it took way longer than expected. So 2 hours and 17 minutes of burpees is not a lot of fun, but it was a cool test. I got some great buddies as well that we tend to just do dumb stuff. Like the most miles I had ran before this off season was 11 at one time, and me and a buddy set out on a 30-miler this off season, and now he wants to do 50. So we just do random stuff all the time and just see how it goes. So it's a lot of fun, but I do feel like my conditioning and in the race car, I feel really good compared to where I was 5-6 years ago.
Thank you.
Are there any other final questions? We'll wrap up right here with John.
Johnny Belt driver. I have two quick ones for you. So first off, I guess, do you have a stance on the Indian under green as opposed to Indian under caution debate?
Daytona 2023, I liked ending under caution. No, I don't know. I don't know. I think if you're trying to end under green, we could be here for days. It seems like we all lose our mind at the end of the races and just hold the throttle down till we get to the front, it seems like. So, I think back to, like a Nashville. I don't even know. Yeah, I guess they did end under green, but it took forever. So, I don't know. I think you're asking a lot, because then it, kind of like Nashville, to Dustin's point I was trying to make to him is like at Darlington, at Nashville, you had guys that were running 25th to 30th have a shot at winning the race because they had enough fuel in the car, right? Because when you're in the back, you just constantly stop to make sure you have enough fuel. And then the guys at the front can't pit and just give up all their track position. But ultimately, you're going to run out of laps that you can go. So I look at like a Nashville, and you almost have somebody, win that race that had, no other option up until those late race restarts when everybody started running out of gas. So ending under green could be pretty tricky.
And on an entirely different note, just kind of following up on Owen's question, I've talked to Ryan a lot. I know he's kind of crazy. So when it comes to all these things you guys are doing, is it you posing the challenges or is it him posing the challenges?
Both. So there is a mile that's a burpee brawl jump for a lap, lunges for a lap, bear crawl for a lap, and then you run a lap. And Ryan had mentioned it to me, and then I saw I don't technically know if he's the backup quarterback yet, but he's trying to be the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears, Tyson. I saw that he was on ESPN and was talking about grinding his face off this offseason, trying to be in the best shape he can for camp. And he said he did a burpee brawl jump for a mile, and so I texted Ryan. I was like, "Hey, here's what we're doing." So, and then my buddy Nate, I was like, "Hey, you want to do something dumb tomorrow?" And he said, "Sure." And he showed up and he was like, "What are we doing?" I was like, "I thought I told you." He goes, "No, you didn't." So he showed up, had no idea what we were doing. So that's always fun. But yeah, we go back and forth.
All right, Ricky, thanks for your time today. Good
thank
luck
you.
this weekend.
Yeah. I just exercise to eat, and I eat too much.
All right, there's the checkered flag. Great job, driver.